7 Secrets of the Goddess by Devdutt Pattanayak. Chapter 3 Gauri's Secret. Culture is dependent on human gaze. Part 1. Before humanity, there was only nature. After humanity came culture. In nature, only the fit survive and there are no favorites. In culture, even the unfit can thrive, but there are also favorites. Kali is nature, the mother, naked with hair unbound. Gauri is culture, the daughter, the sister or the wife, demure and dressed with hair bound. The characteristic feature of Hindu mythology is the great emphasis on the mind, hence perceived realities. In the Vedas, the poet or Kavi wonders, what came first? Who came first? Was it water? Was it air? Was it the sky? Who witnessed their creation? Who can testify they came first? The gods? But are even the gods creations of the mind? What existed before the mind? Who created the mind? Can we ever know? Later Vedic texts clearly distinguish between Prakriti, nature, Sanskriti, culture, and Brahmand, imagined reality of every individual. These are the 3 worlds we inhabit. The question persists: what came first? Evolutionary biologists are clear that nature came first. Then came the mind, and only after that came culture. Life on Earth began 1 billion years ago, but the human brain evolved only 1 million years ago. Language, hence culture, emerged less than 50,000 years ago. Thus Prakriti came first, then Brahma, humanity, then Brahmand, Brahma's egg of thought, then Sanskriti. Humanity, however, deludes itself that Brahma created Prakriti first, then Sanskriti. These ideas were expressed in narrative form in the Purans. In these stories, the male form is used for the mind, while the female form is used to explain the material world around. The relationship between man and woman, or rather God and goddess in the Purans, serves as an allegory to explain the impact of the mind on the world and the impact of the world on the mind. We are conditioned to assume that mind is superior to matter, hence the attribution of male form to the mind and female form to matter seems like yet another case of gender prejudice. The attribution, however, has more to do with biology. The male form lends itself best to represent the mind, as the mind can express itself and affirm its existence only through matter, just as a man can only produce a child through the woman. Semen, then, in mythic vocabulary, is a physical representation of thought that becomes reality, the child, through the woman, matter. When a sage spurts semen in the presence of a nymph, it does not mean a man being seduced by a woman. It means a quiet mind that has been provoked into thought by the events in the world around. That being said, it is easier to read symbols literally. Shiva is man and Shakti is woman, rather than symbolically. Shiva is mind and Shakti is matter. There is no escaping this. The narrative in the Purans begins with Pralay, a time marking the dissolution of the whole cosmos. Nothing exists then but waters that stretched into infinity. On the waters, Vishnu sleeps, as on the coils of the serpent Shesh. So deep is his slumber that Vishnu is not aware of himself. This form of Vishnu is called Narayan. That is when the twin asuras, Madhu and Ketab, emerge out of Vishnu's earwax and create trouble. They steal the Vedas and create havoc. Who got rid of them? It was the goddess Yoga Nidra. But how do we know? Was there a witness? Who was the witness? It was Brahma, born of the lotus that rises from Vishnu's navel. He saw the birth of Madhu and Ketab, their theft of the Vedas, their killing at the hands of the goddess, the dismemberment of their bodies, and finally, the transformation of their body parts into continents. Brahma sang songs to Yoga Nidra's glory. Only he called her Yoga Maya. Narayan here is our sleeping mind. Vishnu is our awakened mind, while Brahma is our partially awakened mind. Madhu and Ketab are our thoughts emerging from the partially awakened mind. These are our negative thoughts, hence asuras, commonly, though incorrectly, identified as demons. Positive thoughts come to be known as devas, commonly, though incorrectly, identified as gods. The goddess in this story is nature, present even when there is no human awareness. She is Yoga Nidra, nature witnessed by no one. She is also Yoga Maya, nature witnessed by an unenlightened mind. Yoga Nidra is reality, but Yoga Maya is perceived reality, filtered through the human mind. Eventually, the mind will discover that she does not need him, but he surely needs her. What is the name of this perceived reality? She is called Adya, the primal one. She is called Shakti, the energy from which all things are created. She is called Maya, everything that the human gaze defines and evaluates. She is the mother, Kali. She can also be the daughter, Gauri. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are commonly identified as the creator, preserver and destroyer. But what do they create, sustain and destroy? The assumption is that they create, sustain and destroy nature. But nature, the goddess, is Swayambhu, self-created and self-contained, sustained by karmic laws. What is being continuously created, sustained and destroyed is perceived reality, the multiple impermanent forms of the goddess. That is why God mind is associated with verbs, creation, sustenance and destruction. The goddess matter, by contrast, is associated with nouns, wealth, power and language as Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati. The God mind draws wealth, power and language by organizing nature into culture. When Brahma, our unenlightened mind, perceives nature, he is unhappy as she is indifferent to his gaze and his views and his opinions. He seeks to control her. He creates culture by domesticating nature. For him, Gauri is daughter who must obey him. By controlling her, he derives pleasures from her. This makes Brahma, the creator, unworthy of worship. Shiva, by contrast, is indifferent to perceived nature. He is the tapasvin, the ascetic, who withdraws completely from nature. His mind has no notion of what nature is or should be. It is pure, clean, uncontaminated by thoughts. This is what makes him the destroyer of culture. Devi seeks to marry him, make him open his eyes, transform from the tapasvin Shiva, who is withdrawn, to the yogi Shankara, who is willing to engage, so that he protects her from Brahma's bothersome gaze. Shiva is embedded so deep in our consciousness that even we are not aware of it. The purpose of life is to invoke that hidden, unexplored potential. When Shiva awakens and acknowledges Shakti, Vishnu is born. Vishnu is our wise mind, capable of understanding perceived nature. Only he appreciates Kali and Gauri. He understands the insecurities of Brahma and the value of Shiva. He balances the two, and so is the preserver of culture. For him, Devi is sister. She can also be mother, wife, and daughter. Symbolic readings of mythology are problematic for many reasons. Modern academic education is based on scientific principles, as well as Euro-American bias that are more comfortable with the literal, the measurable, the singular, and the objective. This makes sense to all, so is true. Indian readings of the Purans tend to be highly individualistic and subjective. What is sense for you may be nonsense to another, and that is fine, for truth is plural. Hence, there is room for multiple readings depending on the reader's intellectual capability. Each reading is valid. Chapter 3. Gory Secret. Culture is dependent on human gaze. Part 2. Chapter 3. Gory Secret. Culture is dependent on human gaze. Part 3.